The grapple hook is not the most powerful piece of equipment in Halo Infinite. Against all odds, in my opinion, it's not even the most fun. It's easy to learn and hard to master, which is great, especially when it comes to swinging around and aiming exactly where you want your body to go, and also learning when to use the grapple hook on weapons and objectives. But if the grapple hook isn't the best piece of equipment in Halo Infinite, then what is? Well guys, in this video, I am going to attempt to sell you the Repulsor. I'll teach you all of the neat little tips and tricks and things that you can do with it, and I'm confident that by the end of this video, you're going to be itching to get one of these things in your hands. Let's get into it. We'll start with the basics. Picking up the Repulsor allows you 3 charges of basically sending whatever you're looking at away from you, be it the ground for extra jump height, an enemy, or even certain projectiles. More on that later. And that's the gist. That's what the Repulsor does. Sounds amazing, right? Well, probably not just yet. In the original Halo Infinite reveal trailer, the first glimpse of the Repulsor that we got was of it bouncing back a plasma pistol bolt right into the opponent's face. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I haven't actually managed to do that myself, although I have been close. The issue is when you first pick up the Repulsor, especially if you're relatively new to playing Halo Infinite, you've got so many things to think about, so much going on in your HUD, that it can be very difficult to use the Repulsor correctly. Whereas with the grapple hook, it's fairly obvious that you want to use it when you want to get from point A to point B, or even the thrust, you want to use it mid-fight to get closer to your enemy, to punch them or something like that. The Repulsor's utility is a little more complicated, and it takes some more practice and some more getting used to. And so that is my number 1 tip for using the Repulsor that you should take away at the end of this video is practice. Practice, practice, practice. Listen to what I have to say and then try it, and then keep trying it until it clicks. So when are these situations at their most useful? Well, let's start with the easiest one, the most recognizable one, and the easiest to pull off: extra jump height. Now, there are all sorts of complicated jumps in Halo Infinite, and the Repulsor makes them so much easier to pull off. Whether you're jumping from canals up to tower on live fire, or up from lower control room to upper control room, or into the A point in recharge. There are plenty of good jumps that you'll just recognize when you're playing, and you'll think to yourself, oh, I can get there really quickly with this. You can really catch opponents off guard and ambush them by getting up to a certain point where your enemies don't expect you. Again, live fire is a great example. If your enemy is camping oddball up in the tower, you don't have to climb the steps and you don't have to go up the side. You can jump up from behind and attack and really catch the other team off guard. So that's the boring one out the way. Now, what about pushing players away from you? This is where it gets interesting. The most obvious and most fun thing to do with the Repulsor, and in my opinion, one of the most fun things to do in the game, is push enemy Spartans off the map, booking yourself the Mind the Gap medal.
Overshield available.
Mind the Gap.
This is particularly fun and easy to pull off in Zone B of live fire. Give it a try on Stronghold. Camp inside the hole, wait for a Spartan to come on around and boop them off the map. See, this is why I wish that Halo Infinite had some sort of long-term medal tracking stat thing like the old Bungie Halo games had, where you can view all of the medals you've ever earned. I'd love to know how many Mind the Gap medals I've had. This technique is also particularly effective at dealing with opponents with overshield, obviously, because falling means they die instantly. Although, if you do push an enemy with overshield off the map, for whatever reason, you don't get the Mind the Gap medal. You don't even get credited with the kill. It counts as a suicide. Bit of a weird bug. Can we fix that at some point, 343? I mean, this bug's almost as egregious as the
plasma pistol, a fully charged bolt not awarding you with an assist if a teammate gets the kill. When a single mango shot, which does less damage than that, does count as an assist.
Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. There's plenty that 343 could do to improve the game. These ones, probably not the main priority. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit that sub button. I'm still brand new to making Halo Infinite content, but so much more coming up. A like and a comment goes a long way as well, and you can check me out playing Halo Infinite live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Falcone. Back to the video. If you want your team to really love you, use the Repulsor to boop off an enemy flag carrier, like in Behemoth. If a flag carrier is going through bottom mid across the bridge, then boop them off and the flag will get instantly reset. What's that? Behemoth isn't in ranked anymore. Never mind that then. Let's talk about the Pancake medal. Now, it's pretty rare, and a lot of people might still not know about this, but if you deal enough damage to a Spartan and then use the Repulsor to boot them into a wall, it can actually deal enough damage to kill the enemy Spartan. StandardAce did a great little short video on this a while back, showing you which weapon combinations can be used to actually cause this pancake medal, because you have to deal like exactly the right amount of damage. I believe in his video he showed off, I think it was 2 Hydra launcher shots, a gravity hammer swing that doesn't quite kill, and a rocket launcher attack that doesn't quite kill. They're great and all, but there's one even more consistent, even more useful one, especially in ranked, and that is 3 shots with the Mangler, then a repulsor into a wall. That is enough damage to guarantee a kill. This is particularly useful because 2 shots with the Mangler is enough to pop the shields. Then, obviously, ideally, the 3rd Mangler hit hits the head and kills them, but in the event that you miss the head, you can instantly use your equipment. The repulsor acts really fast, and you can kill the opponent before they've had a chance to react. That can be incredibly helpful. Obviously, the other thing you could do is hit twice with the Mangler, switch to the battle rifle for an easy headshot by dropping the weapon and equipping the battle rifle really quick. For more on that, check out my last video. But I love using 3 shots with the Mangler and then the repulsor for a kill. It just feels so good, and most people don't expect it, so they don't know how to play around it. In fact, in my opinion, knowing and learning small breakpoints like this is the difference between a good Halo player and a truly great Halo player. Well, that and the ability to aim consistently, and some of us lack that. So for us, breakpoints and knowledge. I'll have to do the trick. So apart from using it to get kills, there are plenty of other scenarios in which you should be using the repulsor in close range combat. For a start, you can use it while in a BR fight up close, just to disorient the other player. Like if you knock them back, they won't be expecting it, their aim gets thrown off. It's very similar to using the evade when up close to try and get some damage in while avoiding enemy shots, especially if you hit them into a wall. It can be really hard for that Spartan to keep their aim going during that fight. This is also probably quite obvious, but if there's an enemy Spartan with a gravity hammer or an energy sword running at you, repulse them back. It'll ruin their day. My other favorite way of using the repulsor in ranked in particular is to knock Spartans out of zones on strongholds. Honestly, you can buy yourself so much time. If a Spartan has started capturing one of your zones, run in, boot them out, it resets it. They have to start from scratch again, and if you can sort of get away and hide, they can start taking the zone and you can boot them out again. Again, this works particularly well on Stronghold B on live fire just because of the circular nature of the zone. I really like to play Ring Around the Roses with my opponents and just cause chaos for them. Sometimes you can juggle 2, maybe even 3 Spartans and prevent them from capturing the zone on your own. It's a lot of fun, especially when you can then finish them off by booping them off the edge. Honestly, 343 Industries knew exactly what they were doing by spawning the repulsor next to Zone B on live fire. Like, it was meant for that type of combat. So that's using the repulsor on yourself covered and using it on enemy Spartans, but what about using it on projectiles? This, in my opinion, is the most difficult thing to get used to. Like, remembering to use it when up close and personal with an opponent is one thing, but remembering to use it when your opponent's firing a rocket launcher at you in a life and death situation, that can be tricky. But learning the range at which the repulsor can actually deflect projectiles is key, because it's probably a little further than you'd think. Like, my initial thought was that it's pointless trying to deflect a rocket launcher shot because good opponents will always aim for your feet, and by the time the rocket gets to you, or gets close to you, it's already exploding and dealing you a ton of damage. But actually, the range of the repulsor is so long, you can deflect it before it even gets close to your feet. It's incredibly powerful. Some of the coolest kills I've had, actually, have been return to sender kills with the repulsor. In fact, now is a really good time to point out that the repulsor is the most powerful piece of equipment in Fiesta, because the meta in Fiesta is lots of players running around with grapple swords, grapple hammers, and rocket launchers. And you know what? The repulsor beats all 3 of those. Deflecting grenades back is also something most players don't do enough of, at least where I'm playing in low Onyx. When running for the oddball, or running for the power weapon on live fire, or just generally running towards any objective where there's grenades being spammed everywhere, you really can just deflect those back to buy yourself a little bit of extra time. It's a little tricky with grenades because deflecting them back doesn't slow down the explosion on frags, so if it's already hit the ground, it will probably still explode in your face. But I found, again, particularly useful in Zone B on strongholds on live fire. You can hide in the hole, and then when grenades start being spammed in, you can literally jump up, deflect them back, and save yourself significant damage from being taken. Again, this is tricky, but once you get used to it, it'll work quite often. And yeah, you can deflect skewer projectiles back, but good luck with that. Those things move fast. That's pretty much everything I have on the Repulsor today. I honestly believe it is the most fun and most rewarding item in the Halo sandbox, and it single-handedly changes how I look at the game. One of the best things about Halo is how different elements of the sandbox work in unison so beautifully together, and the Repulsor is no exception.